Hello, and welcome back again. As I said, we're doing multiple opponents this week, so you may have noticed I have multiple opponents. And I'm very glad that this is a demonstration because having fought most of these guys, I am not going to stand up against three of them. However, let's go through some of what we're looking at in terms of defending against multiple opponents. Because this is something that's covered, and it is something that we spend a little bit of time on, but it's something I'm hoping to spend more time on in the future. But if we start with a situation where if I was normally going to square off against Michael here, we'd be ready to fight here. I have the problem that there might be somebody behind me. Yeah? Now, the very first thing I would like to do, if it's all possible, is change that. So the first option I would have when dealing with multiple opponents would be to move away, and by stepping sideways, I've now got two people on my periphery rather than one person behind me that I can't see. It's not great, but what I'm now going to do is back off as I'm defending, and if they come after me, they're more than likely going to close in together, and now I have a much easier time dealing with two opponents. Yeah? So the first thing you need to be aware of is footwork. As long as I keep moving and can give ground or circle, I don't want to get to a point where I have somebody behind me I can't see. So I'm going to use my footwork a lot. But that's kind of difficult to explain without practical playing around with it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Now, the way that this is advised for in Vigny is that I'm going to adopt a high stance with both hands here. Yeah, if I do end up in this situation. The reason for this being is that any attack that Michael can deliver now, I have my option to defend that. Equally, yeah, because I'm kind of looking at camera conveniently, I can just about see Ian at the corner of my eyes. Any attack Ian chooses to make, I can also twist and defend. I can also attack Michael with my offhand forward and attack Ian with my arm hand behind me. I've also got the option to drop and strike with the butt on either side as well. So this becomes my defense, and what I'm going to do now is one of them is likely to attack me first. That's what I've got to hope happens. From here I'm going to defend, and now Michael cannot hit me again because he has already attacked. So what I'm going to do from here is let Michael recover as I attack Ian. So Ian has to defend. Yeah? And whilst Ian is currently defending, Michael's setting up again, and then I'm going to go and defend against Michael's next attack. One comes straight round and try to hit Ian again. So I'm trying to outsmart Ian, coming across parry, going back to strike, coming across to parry, going to strike, in the hope that I can outsmart and disable Ian, and then I can focus on it being a one-on-one fight. But the way I'm going to do that is largely by essentially having the cane coming back to center ground with both hands, and I'm fighting offhand against one and on-hand against the other. Yeah? So, if we work through a slow example of that, if he attacks, Michael attacks here, my next attack has to be here. Whilst that's recovering, I'm going to take my block here. Yeah? I'm going to come in and feign this time to actually try and land a blow, but then I've got to get back across for the attack coming in here, and it keeps coming. And as things speed up, it gets more and more frantic. Obviously, that's a worst case scenario where I'm in a very narrow alleyway and there's no option. First thing I want to do is move to ground. Now, let's assume I have more than two assailants this time, but they're in that gang mentality. So Ian, if you want to move across from that side of Michael, Andrew, do you want to step in on that side of Michael, please? So now I've got more of the situation where I am being faced with more of what we would call kind of gang situation. Yes? Three of them that want to hurt me, but they're all in front of me. This would traditionally be the, you don't get down this alleyway until you give us your blow. Yeah? But I can't go the other way, they'll just run me down. So that kind of setup. I've still got to find a way of dealing with these without just focusing on one of them, because if I just focus on Michael as the central opponent, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get clobbered by the others. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a certain amount of tactics to the situation. The first thing I'm going to do is decide which way I'm going. I am right-handed, so I'm predominantly going to work towards the left. That's just my preference with how things are at the minute. So the first thing I'm going to do in this start is actually I'm going to threaten Michael. Yeah? With this attack here coming in at Michael, Michael is defending himself. Michael is now not attacking. I'm going to step this way, and I'm now out of range of Ian, and I'm actually going to strike at Andrew. Yeah? the hope is that I can take Andy with that first hit. Yeah? Cycle through to take the middle ground, and then finish off on the far left, far right rather, as I go. So can I get you guys just to hold hands up just so I can explain the movement? So to start with, I'm going to feign my attack at the person in the middle, so that I'm not in danger from them trying to hit me. I'm going to step one, take attack 1, attack 2, attack 3. Yeah? In that case, I did my full Moulinet in the first part. I can do it in the second part. I could go here, feign across here, do my reverse here, and then my full Moulinet here. Just so that I can start thinking about how I'm going to attack multiple opponents. Yeah? Now, in reality, they're unlikely to stand there and let me hit them, but it at least gives me some kind of starting point. Because if I can feign defense here, take out one opponent with my first attack, I'm now 2-on-1. My odds got a lot better. Yeah? And they're both in front of me where I looked at and I get my foot. Yeah? So I know this has been quite a lot of technical stuff about how you move and things, but it's just starting to bring you into that world where perhaps you're not just facing one opponent, and how you're actually going to structure that in terms of looking at it as footwork, the mentality of how you're going to fight, but also getting really familiar with those big sweeps there. The final thing I'll cover is what is described as the best way to deal with multiple opponents when you're blinded or when you're in the dark. Yeah? So the idea of this is I want to cover my best option of not getting hit and my highest chance of hitting other people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duck my head down and cover the offside, my offside with my hand, just in case anything's coming in there. And then what I'm going to do is simply, I'm going to strike here, and I'm going to move forward in that X position in front of me. Okay? That's it. But what I'm going to do, is I'm just giving it a bit more room, is I'm going to stagger that because I don't want to go in a straight line. So I'm going to strike across here, and then across here, and then across here, and then across here. So I'm moving in a diagonal line, covering as much area in front of me with these really more defensive swings. If something's there, great, it's an attack. But mostly I'm just trying to clear a big space in front of me and move through it. It's very much the equivalent of the, I'm going to rotate my arm and walk forward, and if you happen to be in the way, you got punched. But the idea of this one is I'm just trying to cover it, open an area in front of me, move into it until I can get to safety. Again, part is to demonstrate that in a safe way. So, I'm not saying we don't do it, I'm just saying I'm not going to video it put evidence on the internet. So, hopefully though, that gives you some ideas and some things to think about. So, thanks very much guys, that was very helpful. So, we'll catch you next week. Take care.